You can taste all 8.2%. Yes. Hey guys, greetings programs. It's Hanker and Fernale here, another awesome episode of Drunkens and Dragons where we're gonna learn together how to play D&D like a bunch of big old badasses. You know the routine. Well, it's long overdue and there's a lot of consternation, a lot of disappointment, a lot of stern looks, a lot of sideways glances at yours truly, where Hanker and Fernale is the series we used to call Yeah, you know the drill. Ooh, good grief! That's what happens when you get too hardcore of a pointing stick. You start hitting things with it, it becomes a hitting stick. Back to room design. If you remember, the last room we did was the big dragon battle at Swordfall with the crazy magnetic stalactites and all that silliness. Anyways, the players need to find their way to Tower Evermoon. So in real world time, this is my PvE group, showed up at Tower Evermoon probably 2 sessions ago, so a few weeks ago. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'll be doing room design for you guys a couple of weeks after where they are in the campaign, so no spoilers. I had to wait because they hadn't seen any of some of the new terrain and all the new enemies and encounter stuff that was going to unfold, so I couldn't give it away. So yeah, you're like, this last 2-3 weeks on Drunkens and Dragons has been dismal, Hankerin, you say. Well, in your face, imaginary person on the other side of that camera, in your face, here comes room design. All right, the name of the room is
A Hellish Welcome.
So the characters have come up to Tower Evermoon, and the tower was once the seat of elven power in High Forest. And if you want to look on your Forgotten Realms map, you will see that it's up sort of, let me see, southwest of Hellgate in High Forest. So they have to go up there, they have to try to restore the fallen tower. So the tower is completely silent and in ruins, has been for a century. And they're going to go try to find out what terrible fate befell the tower and, if possible, make it right. So when they go up the zigzagging road on the cliffs, kind of like Dracula's castle, up into the crags and the cliffs, there's some other crazy stuff that happened, but we're going to skip all that and get right to room design. So the first entry or entrance to the court level of Tower Evermoon is what I'm calling a Hellish Welcome. So here's how it went down. Right here, you will see the main entrance. So we have a stone doorway here, no door in it. Remember, these are all ruins. It's perfectly silent and still here. No one has dared to tread in this place for decades, if not almost a century. So the players very deftly, very carefully, they're kind of freaked out at this point, honestly, because we've had a lot of build-up, almost a year of build-up in our campaign to finally find and enter Tower Evermoon. And so they go inching in. There's an opening door. Now, the first part of my room design was I wanted to introduce the concept of time travel via despair. Now that might seem a little intense to absorb right now, but you're gonna get used to it. So basically, I got the idea from films like Silent Hill. So it's basically when fear and dread and despair start to overwhelm you, the past actually becomes real again. It gains enough spiritual momentum to actually take over the present and become your experience. My design with the entire Castle Evermoon is every room that I did has a past version and a present version. Anytime the players are overcome with despair, meaning at least one of them fails 3 despair save rolls, they will go back in time. If then they succumb to despair again, they will transfer back into the present. So, whoa, Hankerin, getting a little crazy on me. But this, if you can master this in your campaign using involuntary time shift within a space, so the space stays the same, but the contents and the action of the space are 2 different cases in the past and the present. So how did I introduce them to this concept? Okay, so they come in, get back to the map. They come in, there's a secondary door, and the secondary door I really only put there for the purpose of suspense. So they don't get to just see everything when they walk in. So they walk in, they're forced to sort of disturb the dust in a long, still place. They go in the front door, and this little twosome represents the group. When they enter this vestibule here, all these strange looking blowtorched rocks have all these bizarre marks and damage and corrosion all over them, which are in the patterns of tentacles and suckers and acid, and their faces writhing in the melted stone, and it's just like, what the hell? Anytime the players look at any of these writhing melted stones or this bizarre carved architecture, they have to save versus despair, which is just a charisma save on the room DC. Now, I got that idea mainly from Lovecraft fiction, where to gaze upon this non-Euclidean geometry in otherworldly architecture can instantly drive you to the edge of sanity. So, they come in, the ruins are quiet. The first real encounter they have is as they approach this secondary entrance. We have our cast of characters right over here. Is the ghost of Elandria appears. Elandria is our cleric Florian's daughter, who was known to be one of the last to die in what's called the Day of Blood. This is when Tower Evermoon fell about 100 years ago. And she's always been haunting Florian, asking him why did he leave her? She's trapped, she's confused. We have this whole gag at the table, which is kind of like, Father, it's dark in here. Where are you, Father? It's kind of messed up. So anyways, the ghost greets the players. Every time they even look at her, they again have to save versus despair. So I'm driving them to cause the time travel to happen. Okay, so now just to set the stage, in the ruined version of the tower, you enter the throne room here. Now the throne room features this massive statue of Enoch Evermoon. This is Florian's grandfather, who used to be basically the lord or king of Elvendom 100 years ago. Now, a great way to help remember, am I in the past or in the present on your map, because you're going to be shifting back and forth, just like in Silent Hill, is you just put a torch in. So, in the present day, when this is just ruins, there's no fire burning here. But then, as despair overwhelms the party when they look upon the ghost of Elandria too many times, they go back in time, and they are back when the castle was still occupied by people. It wasn't ruined, and actually the Day of Blood is unfolding. Now, no one in my party knew exactly what happened on the Day of Blood. They only knew that something terrible befell the tower. So, as they come in, I put a pinch point right here so that they would have a hard time getting around Elandria. So anybody who really wanted to enter the space has to come within a square of Elandria, and they have to look her in the eyes and save against despair. So I'm very carefully saying, like, you are going to face these saves. Now there is a chance that they will overcome all the saves and kind of skate, but the odds are in my favor as the DM that won't happen. So they come in, sure enough, they are overwhelmed with despair. They go back in time. The brazier is now lit. The castle is now occupied, and there are people running everywhere, going crazy, panicking. And the earth is shaking, and all these rocks fall from the ceiling to form this rubble pile over here. This whole side of the room collapses. And when it does, Elandria's ghost becomes terrified and floats over here, and the floor breaks open with a giant tentacle of Salag. So as the tentacle erupts through the floor, it is accompanied by a swarm of spiders which use this broken rubble wall as a place to emerge from wherever their deep hellish hideout is. So the players go from a lot of heavy suspense and foreboding and not really know what's going to happen. This is a big quiet room. And then the minute they go into the past, bam, all hell breaks loose. The tentacle through the floor. The tentacle means business too. This thing is instantly like dishing out huge attacks. The players are moving in. The spiders swarm in. They basically have no clue yet exactly how the time travel mechanic works. So they're just in like survival, holy shit, it's a dungeon mode, right? Because it's a dungeon, so naturally there's going to be a swarm of spiders and a giant tentacle. Awesome teamwork that my group does starts to come together. We get our wizard taking on the tentacle, dropping fireballs. We get the rest of the group starting to move over here. Alondria's ghost disappears because she's terrified. As they start to move, they see Enoch Evermoon, this statue is of him, and he is walking over here into this door and disappears. No comment, no anything. He doesn't seem to even acknowledge that all this crazy is unfolding. It's a little strange, but they have no time to even pay attention. The fight keeps going. It is a terrible fight. Boot Myron, our dwarf, gets neck deep in spider guts, takes care of all the spiders, and then realizes this tentacle is gonna kill the whole party. It's just lashing all over the place. And being an awesome player that he is, he comes up here and inspects this massive statue. Wondering, this placement looks like maybe I could use this bad boy. So sure enough, after a couple of strength checks, he gets back here, manages to lever it with his axe handle, and tips over this massive statue of Enoch Evermoon. Boosh! And it lands on the tentacle and does, like 350 damage. Not even really a point in rolling it. It's like the head of the Statue of Liberty falling on you. Smashes the tentacle. The tentacle recedes down into the floor. A few bits of it go scattering. And at that moment, again, they are overcome by all the excitement and the action, and they travel back into the present day. Now, the strange thing that happens, so we turn off our torch because now we're in the ruins, and it's quiet again. The strange thing that happens is that Enoch, this little guy who walked by, now his ghost does the exact same thing. It goes walking by and disappears through the door again. And it's like, whoa, time is repeating itself over and over. So the players are now faced with licking their wounds and going through this far door to explore, to go see exactly where Enoch Evermoon is heading. Now that is another room. So Tower Evermoon consists of a court level, which is 7 rooms, each past and present, a tower level, which is 7 rooms, and a pit level. So it's 21 rooms, all with 2 versions. So it's a 42 room dungeon. It's one of the biggest, craziest dungeons that I've made. So that is really the essence of the Hellish Welcome, is I introduced the time travel mechanic to them, and I had a great sudden, almost like whiplash-inducing change from creepy, quiet ruins into all hell breaking loose giant fight, and then kind of a moment at the end that was kind of like, what just happened? And everything got quiet again. So you had this very strange sensation, instead of being like, we're fighting and we're moving, we're fighting and we're moving, or like we're creeping. You had a weird combination of both. So this is why I wanted to do room design on this room for you guys, is like, give some thought cycles to trying to work with time shift, where you have a present and a past, or a present and a future might be interesting too. And you get double duty out of your room, and you don't have to keep explaining things with mundane explanations like, the spiders sense your body heat, so they want to eat you, and so they show up. Like, yawn. No, you're cooler than that. Or don't just have spikes jump out of the wall and hurt you. You're cooler than that too. So that's what happened in the Hellish Welcome. It was fantastic. So what are the 3 T's? Always, right? Well, the timer in this room is actually in a different kind of interesting mechanic, which the timer was built on despair. So it was only a matter of time before someone failed 3 of the saves. So that was how I was controlling the imminent time. The threat was the horde of spiders and the tentacle. I knew that this was going to happen at some point, unless just people impossibly made a zillion despair saves. That was my threat. My treat was the damage assister. So the giant teetering statue is a real treat, especially when you get a character that figures it out pretty much blind. Like, nobody said, hey dude, go up and try the statue. He just went up there and he's like, you know what? This is like kind of lined up. I think I'm gonna push this thing, So he got a huge reward being able to take down an almost unbeatable enemy with 1 move, and not even a combat move, but a role-playing move. And that is playing D&D like a big old badass, baby. What the hell happened to Castle Evermoon, and exactly what's going to unfold. There's a lot of rooms to get into here. We might skip a few of them just to stick to the mechanically interesting ones, and to show you how this time travel mechanic goes to all kinds of wacky places. You could be standing on a stone that's there in the past, and in the future it has eroded away and you're standing over thin air. Like, it gets that crazy. There's one moment they were wrestling Enoch to the ground in his physical form, went back into the present where he's a ghost, and like went like that, and he like ghosted over there, just like, what is happening? This is crazy. This is metaphysical stuff. So me and my way oversized, barely useful pointer stick wish you a fond farewell. Thanks for watching.
Room design.
Honor and time travel in your rooms. Give it a try, and I'll see you next time.